Friends, welcome back to our show.
Immigrants Corner.
Immigrants Corner. We're back at it again. Lots to talk about. Where do we start?
Crazy world.
Crazy world. Lack of gas. But you know what's happened in the past 3 days? I've never seen so many missiles over Israel.
That's a big firework.
I've never seen so much firework over Israel, and Israel retaliated, of course, and Gaza just got blown up to smithereens. Yeah, that's the world we live in right now. So congratulations, everybody. World War III is about to officially start. China's probably going to start invading Taiwan soon. It's already in works. And this is how World War III starts, by the way. Iran is about to get most of its sanctions lifted by the former vice president.
I think either way, it doesn't matter for them.
Look, Iran does this every 5 years. If you follow the foreign policy, which sadly not a lot of people do, Iran goes through this cycle every 5 years. Usually during an administration change or like when there's a re-election, all this happens. They play ball for a little bit. They collect money. They get as much money they can get in. Then they just go back to their bad habits. But that's not the point. The point is why Middle East is such a important part of United States foreign policy, and you have to see how each country is strategically positioned and how each country helps the United States to keep some sort
dominance.
Some sort of dominance over that region. Unfortunately, we are losing that dominance. The problem lies here is that when you have bad foreign policies, we saw this with the Obama administration. The foreign policy during the Obama administration was just garbage. We try to go in country by country, try to destabilize the country. Yemen, Syria, Libya, Iraq. We try to destabilize these countries, thinking that we're going to have more presence there, more power, more...
thinking if they're divided, then they cannot be unified, so you wouldn't have the repeat of the Israeli wars.
But the end goal was to basically get to Iran. That's the end goal.
Right.
That's the one country they can't get to. And, for them to push the word democracy, bringing democracy on those people and destroying the countries to bring legitimacy to their attacks and destruction of those countries in the name of democracy is bad policy. It's not great policy. You have to realize Middle East, the way they function under dictatorship, they function under strict authority. When Saddam Hussein was in power, there was no terrorist attacks. When Gaddafi was in power, there was no terrorist attack. They didn't give terrorists a leeway to do anything in their country. Even in Iran does not have terrorist attacks. And if there's something happens, it's very rare. Very rare. You know which countries have terrorist attacks constantly?
One of the safest countries, actually, internally.
Right. Do you know what countries have the most terrorist attacks for the past 40 years? Afghanistan, Pakistan. The two most radical countries in the world at this point have had more terrorist attacks in their country than any country in the world. Okay? And I'm not talking about Iraq and Syria because ISIS
Iraq right now is number one.
No, well, I'm talking about before the fall of Saddam. Because as soon as Saddam and Gaddafi fell, Libya and Iraq became the number one place for terrorism. And what is happening now, we're trying to take Assad out of Syria, and guess what? That's going to create another...
Well, he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not. But, they
got the election on May 26th this month.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
So then he's going to say, obviously, I'm legitimate. I get elected again.
Exactly.
Which doesn't matter.
So our bringing democracy to Middle East, bringing peace to the Middle East doesn't work. Look at Gaza. Look at Israel.
Our
look at
democracy
Palestine.
over here is not.
Our democracy is
what
shambles
do you
right
expect? It's
now.
just cities burning and
You
all
know,
that. Lunatic communists
you got
and radical
Minnesota
left is
on
just
fire.
burning.
You got Washington
Yeah.
State on fire. You got
Portland.
Portland's on fire. Everyone's on fire,
Yeah,
man.
places.
So I highly suggest you guys educate yourself about foreign policy. Educate yourself about history of Middle East and the Eastern region like Asia.
Well, I'm gonna give you like a 5 minutes quick take of everything is going on in the Middle East. Okay, so Iran, honestly, I think like the whole nuclear program was a front for them to advance in other fields without being detected. Number one is their missile programs. The second one is their aviation and the UAV program. So the UAV, they're on top four. Iran's UAV right now rivals U.S., China, and
You know why?
Russia's.
Because U.S. UAV crashed and they did reverse engineer.
No, they hit it. Like they hit the MQ-5.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, I don't even think like China and Russia have the capability of hitting stealth UAV beyond the altitude, like a really high altitude like that. So they have that. The reason for that, everything that they have sanctioned, they have produced and become sufficient at it to do it domestically. Now they don't need the planes anymore. They don't need the fighter jets. They're
UAV
really
all day.
UAV all day, and they have a massive number of them in any capacity. And what they did with with Saudi Arabia, the oil refineries through their proxies in Yemen, and those are the just cheapest UAVs that they could just arm them with. And those UAVs just cause massive damage. So that's one. Second, they have created over the past 2 decades what they call it resistance front. Resistance fronts means they have right now full control over Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, and from the south, Bahrain, Oman, and Yemen around Saudi Arabia. So that's actually is a historic, and that UAE and stuff is going to come along later, but I'm just saying pretty much they encircled Saudi Arabia because they moved their pipeline from then being close to Persian Gulf because they didn't want Iran to have a lot of influence over the Strait of Hormuz, which they still do. So they wanted the oil shipment to go south, and Iran started increasing the threats by going into Yemen, and that was the reason Saudi Arabia started the war with Yemen. But now you start the war, if you can't finish it, you get bogged down, and they're getting hit, and now they want to have
they're going through chapter 11.
Right.
Reorganization.
The reason is because it's a very interesting thing, right? That is effectiveness of irregular warfare. The irregular warfare means the advantage it has is first, usually their fighters are much more motivated. That means those fighters, they don't fight for money necessarily. They believe in things, they have conviction.
It's
It's an ideological battle for them. So the Yemenis are like that, the Iranian Quds Force and stuff like that, the militias in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, Hezbollah are like that, Hamas and things like that, Taliban is like that. They are ideological. You can't defeat them like that. And then secondly, what they do is, since they don't need to have the goods and money and all that, with much smaller military capacity, with irregular warfare, can cause incredible costly damage to the conventional enemy. So let's say Saudi Arabia has hundreds of billions of dollars in the latest equipments, military equipments from the US, Patriot missiles, you name it. Right? The Patriot missiles itself, each one of them costs millions of dollars. Each Patriot missile, because those missiles weren't designed to shoot at like a $2,000 rockets. They were designed to hit a long-range ballistic missile with possibly nuclear warhead. Or intercontinental missile. They were designed for that kind of a damage. Now, if you're Yemen and you're throwing $1,000 a piece rockets and small missiles, short-range missiles, and even if they hit it, which they can't hit it because they don't have the capacity, those are too small. I mean, it shows like with the UAV and stuff, they just go in and just all day long, it's just beating them, one cut at a time.
Yep.
And if you are hitting them, if they send, let's say, 10 short-range missiles, the same goes with Gaza. Okay? And I'm going to come to that too. So if you're hitting them, even if you hit them, 10 times $9 million, that's $90 million you lost for a few $1,000s worth of missiles. So you can't sustain that. You can't, no matter
It's
how
too
wealthy
costly.
they are, it's too
too
costly. Now, you remember the other day they said the Iron Dome in Israel malfunctioned? I don't think it malfunctioned. I think
No,
it was just
it
a
was
matter of
hit.
cost. They calculated.
It was either it was a hit or they disabled
No,
it.
they calculated. They said, okay,
It's
this is
$25,000 a missile, dude. Per each missile that flies out of the Iron Dome is 25 grand. That's how much it costs.
right, but
Per missile.
right, the ones that come from Gaza probably is $1,000.
They're cheap. The interesting part is that
So and they fired over 1,000 of them. They fired over 1,000
A
of them.
few years ago, Iran put out this like little documentary called Seven Minutes to Tel Aviv. It's like a 10 or 15 minute documentary. It's in Farsi, unfortunately. I don't know if you might be able to find it on YouTube with subtitles, but they literally, the guy's like, I could bring the Iron Dome anti-ballistic missile system to the ground with $1,000. He's like, I could shoot $100 missiles over Israel, and I could bring that machine down. It's gonna cost me $100 to fly missiles. It's gonna cost them $1 million to take down $100 worth of
Right.
missiles. So it's not cost effective. The maintenance on them, it's extremely expensive, very
Yeah,
expensive.
because they were designed for serious threat, not for
Correct.
short-range missiles and rockets and stuff like that.
What's happening in the past few days, they put those machines to a test, extreme test, costing almost $1 billion. Over
More
what?
probably.
Probably
With the
more,
damage
but
and stuff, I
yeah.
don't know, yeah.
So going back to the fact that, look, Middle East is a very strategically placed area with people who live in there. They have extreme ideologies. Okay, Middle East is one of the biggest land in the world that has mostly ideological individuals. Very religious, very ideological. Their cause, they believe in what they
They
hear.
don't believe in dying. Like usually, you don't find like a people warrior spirit.
I mean, dude, it's insane. Okay, it's insane. And us, it's very, very sad because the United States, it's backing people who are atheists. They have no religion. They have no identity. Nothing. No family values. Trying to go to a country who has extremely conservative views about religion, about family, about nuclear family, about having a right mindset, how to grow your kids.
Somebody disrespecting their mom, they're gonna get slapped with the flip flops in their face.
In here, if the mom tells the kid, "Oh, go clean up your room," shut up, mom.
I remember my older brother come when he was smoking. He was like a 20 after he finished his draft and stuff. My mom just slapped.
Exactly.
Are you smoking in front of me?
Yeah. You get the 20-pound sandal and just hit him over the head and give him a concussion, man. Over here, the kid tells his mom, "Go shut up, go get lost." Like this is, and you want
It's just different cultures.
You want to bring this culture to over there, and you want them to accept this? No, that's not how it works. Okay, Middle East has functioned under that type of culture for centuries,
Thousands of years.
Okay, for thousands of years. Okay, United States is still new. The United States doesn't really have a culture. The culture in the United States is from all the foreigners who came here hundreds of years ago, and they created this country. And for us to try to tell them, hey, no, the Western ideology is better than the Eastern ideology. No, that's not how it works, dude. But that's not the issue. The issue at hand are the dumb politicians without any cultural knowledge about anything in the Middle East. Okay, you have a guy who's never left this country to any other country giving you advice on a Middle Eastern country like Iran and Iraq and like Syria, and they call themselves experts. You're not an expert. You've never lived there. You don't know what the customs are. You don't know what religion they practice. You don't know if they're Shia or Sunnis. You have zero clue, and you're giving advice to these like dumbass politicians who they can't even figure out, what they eat for breakfast. So when you
even if they know at this point,
it's
they're like different.
like puppets.
There are different plays. Let's say 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when let's say I was growing up, I remember my dad just on Fridays trying to old radio, finding, let's say, listening to BBC Farsi or something like that, because it was just such a, literally it's just an information dome over the country. I mean, this, having a satellite TV and stuff was illegal and all that because
Still
they didn't
is.
want, other narratives coming to the country. Now the whole world is different, right? So what I say is what they have realized is when I said Iran, that's a front for them. Like it's not. I truly think like it showed that all documents that was released in the TV and stuff that they have stopped their nuclear weapon program long time ago, like around 2011. They do their nuclear research and stuff. They want to have the capability to have it if they want to, but they don't need it. The reason I'm saying they don't need it is because with the current missile technology that they have, they can cause accurate damage where they want, which they showed with the Saudi Arabia oil fields. They don't need to destroy the entire place. And then the collateral damage is less. That means if the enemies, they're on the other party, they start doing like something like a crazy, then they're going to say, oh, it's like a Gaza, right? If you kill civilians, then people, they're looking at those images. It's 21st century. It's just a total different. Is the urban warfare. Iraq war veteran is just a total different ballgame. This is not a conventional situation. So they have an upper hand because now everything that happens all of a sudden is going to go on social media. They have people recording all that from the end to end where the missile was attacked. They make movies about it. They make documentaries about it. If somebody's died, they're going to do their funerals and all that. And they're going to excite people even more to be, let's say, anti-Israel and just keep fighting.
That's how they create propaganda.
But I'm saying with social media and internet now, they have upper hand that they didn't have before. Before you had the corporate media, whatever, dominating airways. So meaning if the CNN and stuff doesn't cover it, it doesn't matter because everybody on social media sees it. What the attacks is happening now. The thing is with Israel,
dropped, dude.
the problem with Israel is if you have some capability and you oversell it and then you can't deliver it, then actually you're going to look weaker. So when they came, Netanyahu, we are going to attack Iran, we are going to attack this and that, we are going to have this. Yeah, you're boasting, right? You're boasting, but you better be able to back it up. If you don't,
we
have Iron Dome, Iron Dome. Yes, it is a great capability. But if you're boasting that not a needle can fall into Israel because you have so-called Iron Dome, 3 layers of air defense system, and then when Gaza, Hamas with minimal capability, this is not even Iran. This is like Iran's little baby. Okay, this is not even. This is Gaza Strip. If they are throwing fire at you and everybody's screaming and running away, chaos, causing mayhem, they already won. They already won based on the cost. We talked about it. They already won based on the imagery because they have more casualty. They know they're going to have more casualty, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They have a cause, right?
Ideology, dude. Ideology.
And then on the other hand, they're causing fear everywhere in Israel. And think about it. Hezbollah didn't even fire one.
Not yet.
Just the missiles that Hamas did, could reach pretty much most of Israel. Israel is a small place.
Look, man.
Okay, so if they do simultaneously or from multiple angles, I mean, they can hit everything. Now, the interesting thing is, Hamas says because the IDF destroyed that 13-story building that they said that the Hamas leadership were using it as their organization, right? They destroyed it. Hamas said, we are going to destroy your defense ministry building. Now, the thing is, are they boasting or they do have goodies in their tool bag to use
that
it?
they
Now,
actually pull it
they
off.
put out the picture of a Hamas fighter, is pixelated things, you know, the Hamas fighter, front of a large missile with 3 question marks on it. So this is a psychological warfare.
Look.
So you don't know what the heck is going on. What is that? I have a sense what it is, so I'm gonna hint it here.
Look.
So the thing is, the air defense system, right? This is like a heat seeker. It's like a heat seeker that you have. You
That's
see
all.
it in
It's
the
a heat
movies.
seeker, yeah.
Heat seeker with the airplanes and stuff, when they lock down and then they fire the missile and then the missile goes right. Now, Iran has missiles that have jammers on them. So when they get close to where their target is, the jammers get activated. They know that range. The jammers get activated, so whatever is tracing them,
It disables the
it
trace.
disables them, so it can just go right through it. They didn't even use those missiles, but I'm saying they can.
Look,
And
man,
those would be
Iran-
having a much more payload, and they're going to be extremely accurate.
Iran.
So I think when they
every
mentioned
year,
hitting that,
Yeah. I
they
mean-
that means they have some of those missiles as well, but they haven't used it.
every year Iran has their military march that showcases their capability, their missiles,
Oh
their
yeah, missile
ICBMs,
capabilities is pretty good.
the ICBMs, their intercontinental ballistic missiles, the other ballistic missiles that they have, their UAVs, their helicopters, their planes, and so on and so forth. And the problem is, we underestimate the power, how powerful Iran is as far as like their military presence, but they are the most powerful on the ideological level.
Because they have
When you
aligned
have-
the other countries and
It's
groups
like-
in the
it's like
region
when,
to work with them.
Go back 300, 400 years ago when people were having wars like border wars. When you have an ideological setting, you're running towards the guy who's holding a sword. He's like, hey, I'm going to run, I'm going to slash my sword, and then I'm going to get killed, I'm going to kill the other guy. It's like going crazy, you're just going to attack. Okay? Now,
zombie.
exactly. They have suicide boats. It's called the suicide
UAVs, suicide boats.
fast boats. Okay, basically, several people are designated to drive these boats towards high speed towards enemy combatant boats or vessels and blow it up with them on it. They're not gonna put on an autopilot and jump off. No,
They would fight. Who is going to get on the boats?
exactly.
They would literally.
So
It's crazy situation.
exactly.
But
So
think
we
about
are
it. They would fight. It would be fighting between
because
them.
to them, martyrdom to them, it's more valuable than shooting a bullet.
So think Qasem Soleimani, right? For like military people, like people with military, there would be no honor for people that are old school than dying in the battlefield by the hands of your enemy.
Yeah.
For him, that means he made the enemy so frustrated that they couldn't defeat him in the battlefield. They had to kill him, assassinate him. That's a win for him, and he's going to be remembered forever. They're going to have, they already have him, his all sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to be remembered. If he was going to die just a normal, so think about it. Question: do you know the name of the top general of Russia? Do you know the name of the top general of China? Two largest militaries other than U.S. Forget about the U.S. itself. But everybody, even if you don't know the name of the top general in United States, you most likely heard the name of Qasem Soleimani.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a recognition.
To them, it's a recognition.
Right.
And right now, his replacement, Mr.
Ghani.
Ghani, yeah, Ghani. Mr. Qani, he's trying to be
fill the shoe.
He's trying to fill the shoe, but he doesn't have the same credibility as Soleimani did. Okay.
He doesn't have the charisma, but
he doesn't have the charisma, but it's gonna take him time. It's gonna take him time to get that recognition. Okay. Soleimani was an old school, combatant, ruthless individual. Okay, and this is why it's important for all these policymakers, all these commentators, all these subject matter experts who claim to know anything about what's going on in the Middle East region. It's important for these people to know the history and know the culture where these people are from. Okay, this is why we had such we've been in Afghanistan for 19 years.
20
years. Yeah. Okay, we still can't beat the fucking Taliban. The Taliban's still there, okay?
Yeah, because I said that you can't.
You have to understand. At some point, you would think people will give up.
No,
okay?
they don't.
No. I'm trying to make a point. Like at some point, you would think people will give up. They're like, okay, this is not worth it. We're not gonna pursue this.
Taliban fighters, they don't have dog pets to go waste time in the street, go to the mall and pick up poop.
Exactly.
They have rubber shoes and a loaf of bread. They can sit up in the mountain for 3 months.
You know what else they have? They have an ideology, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an ideology. They got nothing.
They don't have a kitty. They don't have to worry about going to the mall. They don't have no social media. They don't have Instagram.
There was a best meme. There was a best meme that
they don't have TikTok. Their TikTok is AK-47 shooting at them.
The best meme I've seen is that how the fuck how the hell Taliban can upload a video from a cave and I can't even upload a video from my own house. The best meme I've ever seen in my life. Okay, look, these people, they are ruthless. They have an ideology. They
don't have distractions.
They don't have distractions. They're not worried about TikTok. They're not worried about what's going to be.
I said TikTok is AK-47.
They don't care. TikTok. They don't care what the next trend is. They don't know what the next gene is. What the hair color makes.
They have no distraction.
The best one is
they only need to read one book.
They don't care about the gender. They don't care about gender identity. They don't care about critical race theory. They don't give a shit.
Then make tons of babies.
All they care about is killing their enemy and dying while doing it.
Foreigners can never last there. You know what I'm saying? It's like an implant. You can't implant a culture in a culture that is consciously resisting it. Right?
They are.
You can't do that. Iran's success is different because he's aligned with proxies.
Even in Iran, okay? Current residents of Iran, okay? They're like, the Western culture is, making us worse. It's deteriorating our culture. It's not. You know what it's doing? It's just bringing a slight change of atmosphere into the country. That's all it's doing, okay? Because every New Year, every spring, every single citizen of Iran celebrate New Year. They go to their parents' house. They go to their family's house. They go to their friend's house. They see each other. They shake hands. They don't. They don't go around saying, "Oh, you voted Democrat, you voted Republican. I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore." They don't have that kind of crap. That's not how they function. To them, politics is poison. Politics is poison. But
no, they have their views.
No, they do have their views, but they have their views. But it's not. They don't make it. They don't make it their everyday lives.
Right.
Right. They don't make it their everyday life.
Their election season is 1 month. Right now, they registered for the candidates for the presidential election, which is held in June. Mm-hmm. Literally within a month or so. This week, the Guardians Council is going to look and review and allow the qualification of some candidates. And even some former president like Ahmadinejad, last time he tried to run, he wasn't qualified. They rejected him.
Yeah.
So whatever, they are very powerful guardians council. So they say who can run, who can't run. So their election season is like 1 month. So you know what I'm saying? So when it's 1 month, you don't have the whole emotional drag of the country for 3-4 years. Okay, who's going to be the president? It's like a show. It has become a clown show over here. You know, just give me a break. And it's too long. It's too personal. It's just attacks. It's just who's going to ruin who the best. You know what I'm saying?
And they all know the president is just a puppet.
Give the nastiest comments.
Exactly. You know, I mean, look,
the game has become like a gladiators. You know what I'm saying? On a TV on the screen.
And the thing is, in Iran, they know the president is just a puppet. You know, the president.
It's not a puppet. It has responsibilities.
It has responsibility.
It's not. It doesn't have full control over the military or anything like that.
Exactly. That's the point.
The main keys, even judiciary. Let's say here the president appoints the head of the Department of Justice. It's not that over there. Over there is just Supreme Leader actually is the one designate the head of judiciary, and he's in charge of the armed forces. So two biggest things: judiciary, who you're going to put in prison, who you're going to release or make cases for somebody, and then the guns to take care of the business.
Exactly.
So he got the biggest thing, and then the legislative, okay, and then the executive. Obviously, executive have power. The presidency implements the policies. It has to go in line with what the supreme leader.
Yeah, I mean they do have Congress. They do they have Chamber of
Assembly,
and you know they discuss laws.
So it's like a quasi system. It's not the same as here, but
so look.
It does work for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a pretense of having a democratic or representative system, but at the same time is very well guarded through the institutions. Let's say the Assembly of Experts, and then the Guardians Council, and then the Supreme Leadership. That pretty much has make it just a much more of a concentrated power system.
This is what scares the United States, because they have such a functioning environment when it comes down to their political side. You know, it's almost they can't disrupt it. Okay, and this is why I said like a few shows back, like we're allied with the wrong countries. If we wanted more regional control, we should have been allies with Iran.
Right.
Realistically speaking, because Iran has more regional influence.
Dominance.
It has more influence.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
So,
and they're going to take over. They already have, but they're going to take over the entire Middle East.
Salami is also a military commander. He had a show on
Commander
YouTube.
of IRGC.
Commander of IRGC. He had a show about a week ago. You told me about him. I listened to the video. I listened to it. Dude, he was on point.
Deep.
Right on point. He put out the plan. He's like, look, the
that
West.
Means they're confident. They're not even worried about.
He's openly saying. He's openly saying, United States came and tried to conquer every country surrounding us. They failed. What we did was, as soon as they made that country weak, we went in to influence them.
And we took over.
Not physically, but ideologically.
The influence.
Ideologically. Influence.
No, they have proxies, so they affect the politicians.
What? Look at the strategic
If they don't like anybody, they can just remove them.
But look, he openly said within this year, and he's like within the past year, basically when we were going through our election circus, he's like, Saudi Arabia is weak. The West
cannot support him.
The West has lost its traction, has lost its steam, has lost its influence. Nobody cares. And what do? We started our own approach to our neighboring countries. We provided them with materials they needed, and we are going to make them our allies. Arm them. And all that stuff. You know what that means? The next target that they're going to hit within the next few years is going to be Saudi Arabia or Israel. Because now...
it's going to be before that. They're already hitting it.
No, I know, but like openly, what I'm saying. Like not with the proxy war. You know what I mean? Like I'm not talking about proxy. Because right now, everything in the Middle East is a proxy war. It's not a direct conflict. It's an indirect conflict.
So that's the thing. There is a very smart strategy in military, because think about it. I gave an example about the collateral damage, right? So collateral damage, that means they cause a lot of damage. Irregular warfare cost enormous cost. That like Aramco, the oil refinery, cost massive damage. And obviously not only that, chaos, people, when you have instability. I mean, look at Chicago, look at Portland. Do you think Portland property values are the same as it was like 2-3 years ago,
No.
3-4 years ago? Do you think like people are interested to go and open business in downtown Portland? When you don't have instability, and we have the most powerful military over here, but the Portland is a shithole right now. Okay? People, you can't pay them to go over there. If you ask anybody with 2 active brain cells, do you want to go open a business in Portland, in the city of Portland? They said, no, am I
and
idiot?
the autonomous zone.
Yeah. Picking up boogers, you know. They said no. This is madness. This is crazy. Any reasonable person can see that. So now think about that, Saudi Arabia. Think about what's happening in Israel. It's very easy to cause damage and chaos. It's much more difficult and time-consuming to build. Mm-hmm. All those buildings that's been damaged, do you think you can just go and slap and fix it? No, it has to be assessed. Decades. It has to be done. Is this going to collapse? And those are just normal, just a few story buildings. We are not talking about the skyscrapers or anything like that. So, and then people are fearful about their kids and stuff. Now, the other thing is, Jewish folks in Israel, they have an alternative. A lot of them, they just move there because they just want to move to the Holy Land. They had great life in other countries. They had massive land over here, good businesses, making a lot of money, and then they're going to look at themselves.
Old money.
Hey, dude, I mean, I understand the Holy Land and stuff, but am I going to risk my life over here? Is it worth it for me?
No.
Do they have the same conviction as the other guy? I'm just saying is like, that's part of the question.
Well, I mean, even that is a small percentage.
They're going to say, hey, I can go to South America, I can go to U.S. or Europe or elsewhere, have my land. I mean, that's a very small country. I looked at it, I would never want to live there.
Look.
Even if they invited me to Israel and says, please come over here and just live in Israel, we're going to give you a nice apartment and stuff. No, I mean, it looks like boxes. You know what I'm saying? Just they don't have land, you don't have security either, then what's to live for?
Look, again, it goes back to ideology.
Because I'm just looking at, just living your life.
So if people don't know why there's always conflict at Gaza and Israel, in Islam, once you conquer a land, it's always going to be the land for the Muslim. It's an Islamic land, period. It will never turn into anything else other than Islamic land. So
once you have a mosque on it.
Yeah, true. But anytime they conquer a land and they call it the Islamic land, it's over. It's done. This is what we saw in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan was the same case. Once a land is conquered by Islamic militia, it becomes an Islamic land. So it will never turn into anything else in their ideology, in their eyes. So, but thanks for tuning in, guys. This episode kind of dragged on, but we're gonna follow up this episode with a part 2. Because this issue is very deep and it's gonna affect the world's economy.
It will affect the energy, possible World War III.
Yes. So we will have a part 2 to this segment. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit the share button. Share it with your friends. Put your comments below. We would love to see what you think about the war in the Middle East and what's happening there. With that, take care of yourself. Be safe. And God bless America.
God bless America.